Hello everyone, I'm delighted to welcome you to this new edition of Business Africa. This week in your economic magazine, we are following the progress of agricultural innovation and the beginnings of artificial intelligence on the continent. But first, here's an overview of our main headlines. African startups are getting in sync with farmers. We head to Yaoundé to discover the promises of the young startup Agrix Tech.
Quand tu places l'application,
when you place the app over the plant, it tells you what disease the tomato has.
La maladie que la tomate a. Ça te propose également
It also gives you the solution, the product you can use to treat the disease.
soigner la maladie.
A generator to improve population access to drinking water. It's Moboti Mai, the invention of two young engineers in the Republic of Congo.
What we would like to bring to the market will use a single application that doesn't need water in the first place and will directly recycle the atmospheric water vapor molecules contained in the air.
Very young children in artisanal gold mines, a situation encouraged by the lawlessness prevailing in large segments of Africa's extractive sector.
We've noticed that in mining areas, parents neglect their children's education. They take the children with them to the mines to exploit them somehow.
A smartphone in African fields, that's the hope of this Yaoundé-based Cameroonian startup Agrix Tech. Its digital solutions based on machine learning algorithms range from financing research to insurance and market access, not forgetting technical agricultural advice. Our correspondent in Cameroon, Abubakar Siddiq Munchali, followed this startup's work in project development and crop management. Take a look. A smartphone in the middle of a field, like the one held by this Cameroonian farmer in his tomato field, is more than just a trend, and it's definitely not a gadget without any connection to its production. He uses an app on his smartphone to scan the plants, and the recorded video is automatically analyzed, and all useful information that he needs is being provided.
Quand tu places l'application,
When you place the app over the plant, it tells you what disease the tomato has.
la maladie que la tomate a. Ça te propose également
It also gives you the solution, the product you can use to treat the disease.
soigner la maladie.
Many African farmers are experimenting with the digital revolution that has taken hold of the agricultural sector. The result is a host of innovations to boost agriculture across the continent.
Depuis des années que je travaille,
I've never had such success in all the years I've been working. Thanks to Agrix Tech these days, I feel that I'm on the right track.
ça doit aller.
It's an invaluable tool for Jean-Rameau Sukuju and his vast 3-hectare field in the center region of Cameroon. Tomatoes are in great demand and are selling at good prices on the market these days. He's confident, he says, of making a good yield.
Les premiers sont déjà
The first ones are already mature. Where we are now, it's the 7th week after transplanting. On the other side, some are perhaps a week old, others 2 weeks old. We evolve as we go along. I've been a market gardener for almost 10 years. In the last few years, I've come to know Agrix Tech.
J'ai connu Agrix Tech.
Agrix Tech, c'était une application qui permettait...
Agritech app enables farmers to detect plant diseases. The app works offline.
L'application fonctionne offline et en langue nationale.
And is in Cameroon's national language. Farmers who use it do not need an internet connection.
Là où il y a une connexion internet, il peut l'utiliser en sa langue.
They can use it in their mother tongue. In addition to this application, we have been able to develop other apps. For example, we have an app that enables our field agents to study agricultural risks right from the start of the project.
Dès le départ du projet.
Agritech is an original idea from these young Cameroonians, an agricultural technology startup led by this young telecoms engineer, a pure product of the African diaspora who, after studying in Germany, thought he would be more useful to his continent and his native Cameroon than anywhere else.
L'idée d'Agrix Tech m'est venue en 2018.
The idea for Agrix Tech came to me in 2018 when I was finishing my studies in business administration in Germany.
Et il s'agissait de pouvoir apporter
And the idea was to be able to provide farmers with the opportunity to run profitable agricultural projects that would enable them to support themselves. I had already had a little farming experience in 2015, but it hadn't gone well, and I realized that these farmers are exposed to many difficulties.
The Agrix Tech platform, which operates with a wide range of young people who work daily in this office at the heart of Yaoundé, is trying to solve many farming-related problems. Others are on the ground in the regions of Cameroon, where this young company is active, while waiting to perhaps head towards other countries on the continent.
Nous avons constaté que les agriculteurs
We've noticed that African farmers, particularly Cameroonian farmers, have three main problems when it comes to making a fulfilling activity.
Le premier problème, c'est l'accès au financement.
The first problem is access to finance.
L'accès à
The second problem is access to the new agricultural technologies that can help them to increase their yield.
permettre d'augmenter leur rendement. Et le troisième problème, c'est
And the third problem is access to the market.
c'est que nous fournissons à ces
So we are providing these farmers with a means of accessing new agricultural technologies and financial services.
aux nouvelles technologies de l'agriculture et aux services financiers.
Quand on a un agriculteur qui a un projet agricole,
When a farmer has an agricultural project, the agent uses the application to go out in the field and note down all the information about the project, such as the previous crop yields, the location, the measurements of the land, the soil tests, NPK, pH, and so on.
il fait les tests de sol, le NPK, le pH et autres. Dès qu'il met ça dans l'application, les agents...
If the project is viable, our platform automatically generates a business plan.
Ils reçoivent les informations directement sur la plateforme. Et là, si le projet est viable, notre plateforme génère
And a certificate enabling the farmer to obtain microcredit from our financial partners.
d'obtenir un microcrédit chez nos partenaires financiers. Une fois que le microcrédit
Once the microcredit has been given to the farmer, we start monitoring his project. That is, every week, the farmer gets a call about his project.
Un appel sur son projet.
Agrix Tech promises to provide a call-out service and follow-up in the field through harvesting and even sale on the market via the supply of quality seeds and recommended inputs. The young company claims to have more than 3,000 farmers already on its database, including Jean Rameau Sukuju, who specializes in growing tomatoes and other products that are just as popular in the Cameroonian market and beyond. An ever-growing number, and enough to make this young Cameroonian and his team say that they were right to invest in this promising niche for innovative digital solutions in agriculture on the African continent. There's still the thorny problem of financial support from investors to resolve, and above all, for farmers in rural areas, access to smartphones, which are still very expensive in Africa. And we stay with innovation as artificial intelligence gradually arrives in Africa. Several recent agreements show that the continent doesn't intend to be left behind in this technological race. In Cameroon, ST Digital, which created an African iCloud in 2023, has just announced a new offering, a hosting service dedicated to companies and researchers specializing in deep learning, big data analysis, and natural language processing. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, Microsoft has just announced a $1 million investment over 2 years to support artificial intelligence development. A concerning ratio highlighted at the recent African Coffee G25 summit $50 billion in coffee products imports versus only $3 billion in coffee exports. The continent, which still accounted for 25% of global coffee production in the 60s, has seen its share decrease considerably in recent years. It's now only 11%. Ministers and experts used the summit to sound the alarm. Their resolutions called for significantly increasing this ratio. They want to see it reach 20% by 2030. Coffee-producing nations also want to increase intra-African trade from 15% to 50%. In the Republic of Congo, access to drinking water remains a challenge for the majority. Daily expeditions of residents equipped with jerry cans, basins and buckets are a common sight in both villages and some major cities. Faced with this situation, two Congolese engineers, Yannick Mumba and Landry Dinga, have designed a water generator that transforms ambient air into drinking water. Our correspondent in Pointe-Noire, Brice Kinhu, followed this promising technological innovation for many communities. Watch.
In Pointe-Noire, the economic capital of the Republic of Congo, as in other cities, water only flows occasionally from the few taps belonging to the national water company, Congolaise des Eaux, which are present in only a handful of homes. As a result, private boreholes are often stormed by the population in search of drinking water.
The water hasn't been running from our taps for weeks, sometimes months. I'm not the only one. There are lots of us in the neighborhood. Some people live near the boreholes, but others, like me, have to walk long distances to fetch water.
To solve the problem of access to drinking water in an environmentally friendly way, Yannick Mumba and Landry Dinga, two young Congolese researchers and designers, have teamed up to create the Moboti Mayi water generator, which runs on domestic electricity, a generator and solar energy.
Moboti, de son invention,
Mboti uses two applications.
Dont l'une qui a besoin.
One uses a small quantity of water to produce more,
encore plus. Et la deuxième, où nous avons pas
and the second doesn't need any water,
mais qui produit directement sans avoir besoin d'une autre quantité d'eau au départ. Et
what we would like to bring to the market will use a single application that doesn't need water in the first place and will directly recycle the atmospheric water vapor molecules contained in the air and return them to us as an exponential rate.
Landry Dinga, co-inventor of Moboti Mayi, is confident about the water quality produced by their water generator despite the high levels of air pollution in major cities.
We have
the results of the physiochemical analysis report and the biochemical analysis report, which show that the water produced by our generator complies with the WHO drinking water standards.
The Secretary General of the Congolese Association of Inventors and Innovators, Rosie Cadel Zilulu, does not hide his impressions of the Moboti Mayi water generator, patented in 2018 by the AIPO, the African Intellectual Property Organization.
At a time when we are talking about ecology, energy and natural resources,
à l'heure où on parle des ressources naturelles, il faut dire que l'invention de Monsieur...
My impressions are that Mr. Yannick's invention is most welcome from the moment it was invented.
Qu'elle a été inventée.
The current production capacity of the Moboti Mayi water generator is 12 litres a day. Still, Yannick and Landry intend to work on several parameters to increase the speed of production and the quantity of water. To achieve their objectives, they are seeking technical and financial partnerships.
Si nos gouvernements peuvent nous faire
If our
confiance,
government and investors can
les
trust
investisseurs
us and agree to take the
s'ils peuvent
plunge,
accepter de se lancer. Je pense,
I think,
je suis même
and I'm
sûr,
even sure we'll
nous
achieve
allons
great
parvenir
things.
à de grandes réalisations.
The Secretary General of the Congolese Association of Inventors and Innovators supports this appeal to investors who still need to do more to encourage inventions and innovations in the country.
My message to investors is to take the risk and have the courage to commit to supporting inventors and innovators so that our environment, our community, and our beloved continent can develop, and why not share these assets with other continents.
According to a recent World Bank study, access to drinking water in the Republic of Congo, where more than half the population lives below the international extreme poverty threshold, needs to be proportionate with the country's hydraulic potential. An improved version of the Moboti Mai water generator, so far financed by the two engineers themselves, could solve the problem of access to drinking water in Congo, Brazzaville and elsewhere in Africa, including the deserts. Are you seeking to boost your business in Africa and Europe? Increase your visibility with business frequency thanks to our network of national television channels in more than 40 countries. Every week, more than 100 broadcasts across Africa, the Indian Ocean and Europe. Don't miss this unique opportunity. Contact us now and put your brand into the spotlight.
Welcome to the second part of our show. The impact of the US aid operations freeze continues to be severely felt worldwide, particularly in Africa. Several major American private development companies have appealed to US courts for the disbursement of funds related to their contracts with the public agency USAID. On the continent, the situation has serious repercussions for local NGOs, which must lay off staff and can no longer provide essential health services such as HIV prevention and treatment. And meanwhile, in Zimbabwe, difficulties continue for the ZiG, the country's new currency, since last April. It accounts for 30% of transactions, but the population has maintained a preference for the more stable dollar. The ZiG has lost 95% of its value since its inception amid hyperinflation. In this context, the central bank has asked companies to use the ZiG for their stock market listings and financial reports. The measure, which would force companies to modify their accounting rules while increasing the cost of doing business, is causing serious concern in the economic circles. Last month, the Democratic Republic of Congo announced a 3 to 4 month suspension of its cobalt exports. The decision is explained by an abundant surplus. Congo produces 3/4 of global cobalt, but excessive exploitation and smuggled exports have led to a price collapse. Prices have fallen 75% since 2022, even as the mineral has become essential in electric vehicle battery production. The suspension also applies to artisanal mines. However, copper mines, of which Congo is the world's second largest producer, can continue exporting. And to get a tangible sense of the consequences of the African mining sector's structural fragility, I now invite you to join us in Guinea, Africa's 5th largest gold producer, for this final report. On the ground, the gold rush is drawing an entire precarious population to try their hand at gold panning. But behind this gold fever, we also find children sacrificing their education for picks and shovels. Some local NGOs are fighting to change the situation. This is a report by Sayon Koroma in the Sigiri region, northeastern Guinea.
On the outskirts of this gold mine, a surreal scene. A little boy, barely 4 years old, is digging alongside the adults. But how can you be so strong?
You have to go home.
The old man, as he is nicknamed, has never been to school. He works alongside his mother all day long, hoping to find gold to improve their living conditions. Unfortunately, after a whole day's work, they haven't extracted more than a decigram of gold. If you sell this decigram, how much do you get? 1 decigram gives us 4 euros. After dark, with a torchlight, the old man and his mother sell their meager gold harvest to buy food. The sad reality is not unique. In the mining regions of Sigiri in the northeastern Guinea, many children are living the same reality. According to the UN, 68% of children in Guinea work from the age of 7. Many drop out of school to work in the mines, exposed to conditions threatening their health and safety. Their fragile hands handle heavy tools, and their dreams for the future fade into the dust of the mines. Yet, some children like Sira still aspire to education. I really want to go to school because this mine is very ephemeral. As we delved into the reality of the mines, we spoke to this artisanal mining manager. Here, despite the determination to combat the exploitation of children, the challenges remain complex. The complexity of the situation and the precariousness of the families hamper the implementation of effective measures.
A lot of children come to the mines. Banning children could cause problems. Those who run the small-scale mines don't want to see young children working like that, but we have no choice.
Child exploitation is a dilemma for some families. For this lady, unfortunately, education has still not led to a better life for her older children. Some of them have completed their schooling and are now unemployed, which has led her family to rely on the mines and the frail shoulders of their offspring to survive. We live off the mines. If we prevent our children from working in the mines and they can't find jobs after school, what's the point of studying? Despite the grim reality of the mines, a glimmer of hope emanates from a non-governmental organization determined to bring about significant change. We've noticed that in mining areas, parents neglect their children's education. They take the children with them to the mines to exploit them somehow. So during school periods, the children must go either to school or training centers to prepare for their future. That's why we're here today. That day, we followed the team as it traveled to neighboring villages to raise awareness amongst parents of the importance of education. Have pity on these children, start sending them to school or let them have a proper job. Gold is not eternal because when you will be worn out from this job, they can take care of you. We're here to pass on this message to you. According to the NGO Humanium, which fights for children's rights, only half of Guinean children have access to secondary education, while 73% are engaged in work even before reaching the legal age of majority, and girls make up the overwhelming majority of these cases. These statistics underline the need for concerted action to change the trajectory of these young lives and offer them more promising prospects.
And that's all for Business Africa today. I'll see you next week, same time, same channel. For Initiative Africa, we'll be welcoming comic book artist Anik Kamgang. In the meantime, you can rewatch this show on our website, africanair.com, and follow us on all our social media. Don't hesitate to share, like, and comment using the hashtag Business Africa. Have a wonderful week and see you next time. Bye-bye.